Hey, everybody, and welcome to the True Crime Squad. This is Katie Weaver. I'm here with my sister, co host, and partner in crime, Kristi Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday.
How's it going?
It's going well. You can see that my cat Sandy is here to say hello. She's making the rounds where she does a circle around me over and over again. So, but other than that, going great.
Well, wonderful. Good to hear it. We're both busily working on finishing up projects, so we're ready for our first fall fair
Yes.
on
Oh,
Saturday.
yeah. Excited for that.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's going to be good, and our weather is just gorgeous.
It is. It's going to be really beautiful.
We're low 60s during the day right now and mid 40s at night, and
It's perfect.
yeah, it is perfect. The leaves are changing everywhere. They did have snow over the Jackson Pass, like bad snow. So
Yeah. Oof.
hard yikes on that. But
Definitely.
how are we feeling?
I'm much better. I'm pretty well
Yeah,
over the vid.
I thought I was, but I did too much yesterday and woke up this morning feeling kind of rough. But I'm mostly better. My lungs are gonna make me pay for this for a couple of weeks. But other than that, really, I'm much, much better. So yeah, we're all
Nice.
surviving, and Mars and Matea are both acting completely fine now, so that's good, and I
Oh,
think Kara's all
good.
better
Good.
too, so
Yeah, yeah, she is. Rhonda's on the way, and Mike is better. So, yeah,
mhm. Yeah. And Scott, so far so good. So hopefully he's gonna miss the bullet.
lucky.
So, yeah. Stupid COVID, but man, you guys, this is a contagious one. I mean, COVID always is, but this is holy cow.
Yeah, really, really contagious.
Yeah.
Especially if you're cooped up in a car on a 14-hour car ride.
Yeah, I
Thumbs up.
mean, that'll do it for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that will do it.
Yeah. So, but, oh my god. Holy crime.
So much. Oh my God, our updates tonight are humongous.
Is the world exploding right now or
A little bit, a little bit.
a little tiny bit? Yeah. I thought I would just lead us out with Lori Vallow.
Yes.
So with Lori, there's been all these filings back and forth trying to, finish the transition of her over to her appellate attorney. And so when he was assigned to be her attorney, he wanted a little stay on the appeal because it had been filed initially by Mr. Archibald. But of course, he wanted a chance to look that over and see if there's anything he wanted to add to it. And so that came out today. I've read all the way through it. I don't see that he changed it at all.
Yeah, it's just basically the same thing. I thought so too. That
Yeah,
Archibald had filed, it's just now filed under the new attorney's name.
they did make some other requests, but as far as the things that they wanted to know, gosh, that just doesn't seem any different. Like, did the court err when they found her competent to stand trial? Did they err when apparently the defense experts wanted to send her back to the mental hospital and the court said no?
Mhm.
Uh, was there a constitutional and statutory right to a speedy trial violation due to the government's repeated requests for continuance? Was the defendant's constitutional and statutory right to a speedy trial violated by the court's trial setting? Did the court err in denying defense challenges for cause of trial jurors due to bias or hardship during jury selection? Did the government commit fundamental reversible error in its opening statement to the jury? Did the court err in allowing the government to produce evidence or other crimes or acts against the defendant? Rule, say it with me now, 404B, everyone knows.
Mhm.
Did the court
We've read
err
it
in
a bajillion
allowing,
times.
right? Did the court err in allowing the government to exceed the scope of its order, Regarding other crimes or acts against the defendant under 404B, did the court err in allowing the government to amend the grand jury indictment 2 years after the indictment was filed without sending the case back to the grand jury? Did the
Oh
court
boy.
err, right? This again. Did the court err in allowing the jury to hear statements of co conspirators, but then rule in jury instructions that the government need not prove those persons were part of the conspiracy? When the grand jury indictment puts the defendant on notice that she is charged with a conspiracy involving 5 or more people, can the trial court ignore that finding and instead proceed with standard conspiracy jury instructions? Did the government commit fundamental reversible errors in its closing statement to the jury? Did the court err when it granted without a hearing the government's objection to the defense request to view all mitigating evidence submitted by the defense for sentencing? I don't know how they could have there, but okay. Should a
It's
new
just
sentencing hearing be held due to the sentencing court not reviewing all mitigation evidence submitted by the defense? Remember that in sentencing, Lori refused to be a part of it. She refused to do her
right.
part.
She
So
did.
I'm not really sure how the court could err on things that she refused to do.
Well, and then the defense submitted a bunch of stuff to the mitigation specialist. The mitigation specialist picked out what they felt was the most important,
Yes.
included it in the report, and then the defense was mad that it wasn't all of it.
Yeah.
So I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
It's attacking everything, which
Hmm.
again, when we read this the first time, I was like, yeah, it's because they don't have one specific thing to
It's a lot of
really
spaghetti at
hammer
the
on.
wall. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then, did the sentencing court abuse its discretion by ordering the defendant to serve 3 consecutive fixed life sentences without parole? And lastly, did the sentencing court abuse its discretion when it ordered the defendant, who had been found indigent, qualified for a public defender, and had just been ordered to serve life in prison without parole, to pay $165,000 in fines and court costs? So that's extremely similar to what was already, and maybe exactly the same to what was already filed. They are asking, of course, for all of the mental health records to be unsealed and sent to them. And then they ask for about 35 uh, standard transcripts from various hearings, like all of them, starting on
Mhm.
5/26/21, and then, of course, going all the way to sentencing. So
Yeah.
that's what it is. Nothing to see here, really. Nothing all that exciting,
No.
but the beat marches on. Her appeal is moving forward through the courts as it should. So
Mhm.
that's what's
Well,
going
and
on
this
with
is
it.
just all performative. Like, so her attorneys had a certain amount of time from the time of her sentencing to file for it. That's when, once they filed for it, then they could be released as her attorneys, and the state assign her a new attorney. Then the
Yeah.
new attorney has to file it again with the court so they know who the new attorney is. Like,
Hmm.
these are just the steps you have to follow to be in the appeals process.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And it's honestly, there's not a big smoking gun there. If it's anything,
There's
it's going to
not.
be 404B, honestly, but I don't really think that's going to
But
be an
even
issue.
that, I mean, they proved the need for that in the common scheme over and over and over again throughout that trial. I felt like that was one of the things that Rachel Smith really did in the
Yeah.
Vallow trial, because those were her statements, they were her words,
Hmm.
that she really helped keep together the idea of the common scheme, the
Yeah.
conspiracy, and how it began in Arizona and moved to Idaho. And
Yeah.
they reaffirmed that so many times with so much evidence throughout the trial that I don't know how they're I don't know what the defense is, what the reasoning would be to deny that,
Right. Yeah.
considering how much they hammered it over again and again and again. And
Yeah.
with, like nearly every bit of evidence they had could, you know, especially all the digital stuff. It
Hmm.
started in Arizona. We all know it
Hmm.
did.
Yeah. Yep,
So
for
I don't
sure.
know. I'm not super worried about it, to be perfectly
Nah,
honest.
nah, me neither. Me neither. That's just it's pretty rote. So that's what's going on with Lori. Let's see, Kristi. I closed our window. Let me open it back
Well, I
up.
can give a quick update on the Wagner trial, the Billy Wagner
Oh
trial,
yeah.
because Lindsay was asking about that. They have finally set a trial date on the Billy Wagner trial. So this is for
Okay.
George Billy Wagner III. This is the dad in the situation. He's the only one who hasn't either pled guilty or been convicted of the murders in the Wagner situation. And
Yeah.
it will begin on May 6th of 2024.
Okay.
So it's about damn time.
Wow. I
Um,
mean, that's going to happen about the same time that Chad goes to trial. If
I
Chad
know,
goes to trial.
interesting. Well,
Yeah.
and if Billy goes to trial too. I mean, I know they're pushing really hard for this, but I mean, come on. The other defendants have either pled guilty or been found guilty, and two of them are required to testify against him.
Hmm.
Why put people through it? I don't
Because
know.
they're mean. Because they're mean
Yeah,
people.
right.
This is out of absolute meanness
I
and
mean, most
bullshit.
Wagners
Yeah.
are terrible.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
glad to see finally some movement there because that's been taking forever. Now, what we don't know yet is where the trial is going to be because there's a motion to change venues, and that's not been ruled on
Hmm.
yet.
Hmm. Yeah. Kaylin is very tired, and she saw your cat sitting there holding super still and thought for a minute she was taxidermied.
Oh, Lord.
Have you seen these
No
people?
shit. Right? Have you seen these things? What is she fixated on? I don't know. She was really staring at something over there on the wall. I would never, ever have a taxidermy version of my own pet. I am absolutely horrified when people have to see those.
Yeah,
It makes me feel sick to my stomach to even think about it.
I know. I I saw there used to be a show about this, didn't there? Like a reality show. There
I
was this
think
old couple
so.
that had this little chihuahua that had died that usually rode right in between them on a doggy bed in their motorhome. And so Kaylin's like, "Oh my god." So they taxidermied this poor little dog after it died and had it mounted in that dog bed, and it still rode around with them all over the country. What the Just get a new
I
dog, dear God!
Yeah,
Oh,
I let them rest and yeah. Oh boy.
mhm. Now, Scott's grandma had she was our next door neighbor, when we were kids, and from the
Hmm.
every time I ever knew her as a little girl up until the time she died, she always had a poodle named Lacey.
Yeah, she did.
It wasn't the same poodle.
No,
Every new
it was
poodle she
just
got, she named it Lacey because she said that was easier to remember. My God,
yeah.
that is weird as hell.
Yes, no, I've seen that. Some people take the fur and whiskers from their deceased cats and make life-size
Mhm,
stuff. I no, can't do it.
mhm,
I let my babies rest in peace.
mhm.
That's yeah.
Our
That
cousin
gives
said
me a
that her
stomachache to
friend
think
had
about it.
yeah, she said her friend had a really furry dog, and mom took a bunch of the dog's fur, not after death, just, probably from all over their house, and
Hmm.
spun it into yarn and made her like a gloves and hat with her dog's hair. Why though?
I don't know. Yeah,
I
all of that is kind of creepy to me.
Yeah, it needs to stop. Good lord. Okay. Anyway.
Is there a ghost behind it? Right? I know. I don't know what she's looking at. Well, I've got my window cracked too, so she can smell the outside.
Mhm. Yeah, ashes for sure. Ashes are normal. And
I
ashes
do
made
have
into like a
ashes.
pendant or stuff like that I think is pretty normal, but the hair stuff, I don't know what
I
to
don't
say.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, ashes in the ink and tattoos. I find that very interesting too.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, Mouse said, my puppy just passed away and I'm making him a memorial garden. See, that's normal. That's very sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yes, we
get
got to
that.
get back on track. There's so much.
Yeah, yeah, there is. But I did want to say that because Lindsay had asked, and yes, yes,
Mhm.
Wagner trial finally has a date.
Mhm. Good
This
to
has been
note.
forever. Yeah.
Christy, I'm going to keep the spotlight on you here for a minute. Talk to us about Adnan Syed.
Yes. Okay. So we all know who Adnan Syed is. He was convicted of the murder of Heyman Lee. He spent quite a few years in prison and was last year was released. So his case is now, he wants to, his conviction has been set aside because there was evidence that was not turned over that was exculpatory in his case.
Yeah.
And now there's been some DNA that even confirms that further. So the Maryland Supreme Court is going to hear arguments tomorrow morning in his case. They're considering whether the Baltimore City Circuit Court violated the right of Young Lee, who is Heyman Lee's brother, to have been notified of and to attend a hearing in which a judge vacated his murder conviction. So his murder conviction has already been vacated. He's freed. But Heyman Lee's brother is suing, saying that they didn't know that this was going to be happening and weren't given notice to attend a hearing when he was, in fact, freed and his conviction vacated. Yeah. So very interesting situation. The prosecution has come out and said we screwed up. The prosecutor at the time screwed up, didn't turn over information that should have been there. Plus, we have the new DNA.
Right. I mean, this happened because of the new prosecutor, right?
Right. It did. But it's just very interesting that Heyman Lee's family is pretty unhappy about it because they felt like they were left out of this conversation. So this went before an appellate court in March. It was a 2-1 decision finding that Mr. Lee's rights as a victim's representative had been violated by the court. Interesting, because we went through a lot of sort of understanding what a victim's representative is in the Lori Vallow murder trial.
Yeah.
And he's saying he was, identified as his sister's representative, and then his rights were violated. So, the question around this is, could Adnan Syed have to go back to prison because of this? And that's a big concern because he's already been freed.
Yeah.
But the family is saying we didn't have any idea that this was happening. And we didn't have a right to basically have a say. I'm not really sure. I understand wanting to be there, wanting to, be present, but having a say, I don't understand because he has been proven innocent.
Right. Yeah. I know. I don't understand it either. I also don't understand, and I won't hopefully ever understand how it feels to go through something like this. But there is DNA evidence that indicates that Adnan was absolutely not the killer.
Right.
And they're absolutely determined that, yes, he was. They can't let go of it.
And if Mr. Lee's rights were violated, how is violating Adnan Syed's rights, how does that fix anything?
How does that make it right? Yeah.
We can't turn back time. And I really don't think that the Supreme Court of Maryland is going to put him back in prison, but he is very afraid of it.
Right. Well, I would be too.
They might, but how do you do that after you've already vacated a sentence? Yeah. I don't know. This is a big mess. It is really a big mess. And her family, her brother particularly, is pushing it really hard.
Relentlessly, yeah.
Yes. And, the attorney for Adnan Syed says that Mr. Lee's complaint became moot when prosecutors dropped the charges against Adnan Syed on October 11th of 2022, which ended the criminal case against him, which is true. Right. If that's been dropped, they cannot put him back in prison. But I would think not. I would think not, right? But he is very afraid. Of course he is. He spent a long time in prison for a murder he did not commit. And it is very scary. I have been worried I'm worried for him. I think a lot of people are worried for him. So this is happening tomorrow. My hope is that they find a way. I don't know. I mean, it's the family has the right to be involved and know, but does that
Mhm.
mean they have the right to put someone back in prison for a crime that they clearly didn't commit? No.
No. I know. I think this is all really troublesome. It's very sad. It's very sad for
Yeah.
for the Lees because their daughter was murdered, their sister was murdered, and this has been a horrible nightmare that just never ends. And I
Right.
get that entirely, but I'm just so I don't get what is happening, why this is even allowed to happen here.
And
But
to go this far,
yeah,
to go clear
Joy
before the
said they
Supreme Court.
deserve a respectful discussion and explanation. Agreed. They absolutely do.
Totally.
Actually, though, Joy, I think they have had that. I
They
feel like
have
they have
since
had
have
that.
had that, but
Yeah.
they didn't get it beforehand and they didn't get a lot of notice prior to this hearing happening. And I
Mhm.
get their frustration with that, but I mean, we're talking now about reincarcerating someone that they
Mhm.
know is innocent. Like that they can't do that.
Mhm. But they don't know. They still believe it was him. They want him back in prison because they do
Right.
still
They
believe it
want
was
it to
him.
be him, but I
Yeah.
mean the evidence they have now proves that it wasn't him.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, it was DNA from her body that when
Mhm.
it was finally run,
Mhm.
was found to not match Adnan
Yeah,
Syed.
her
It
and her
wasn't him.
shoes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. Very
yeah,
sad. Hard one. Well, we'll be keeping a close eye on that one, and I really,
yeah.
really hope that Adnan
Well, and the other part of this is that it's
gets
not Adnan
done with
Syed's
this tomorrow.
fault that this happened. Like he's not the
Right.
one. He's the one facing punishment. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. How
He
is it
had no
this just a
control over
civil suit from the Lees against the
against the
prosecution?
state or the prosecutor's
Right.
or something.
I
Yeah, I agree.
don't understand how he's even involved in this really.
Right,
But
right.
anyway, we'll find out. Yeah.
Well, we shall because that hearing is tomorrow.
Well, the Wests were finally sentenced. That, of course, is Trezell and Jacqueline F. West, who were
Hmm.
convicted for murdering one of their little boys. This was the Orrin and Orson Wells case and
West.
or West case and Orson Welles. COVID brain.
Oh, I immediately went to Summer Wells, and you went to Orson. That's funny.
COVID brain. That's what we're gonna call it. Anyway, uh, the they were both sentenced to life. Life in California is 15 years. So they were both sentenced to 15 years plus four for some of the other charges. And the state has also said that they will not be retrying them on the child that the jury was undecided on
Which is
at this
so
time.
horrifying to me that that little boy is just gone
Yep.
forever, and they will have no consequences for it at all.
Yep. Unless by some miracle their little bodies are found, but I just can't even imagine that happening. But at least they're finally sentenced. That's it. I know, Lindsay, me too. Are you
Yeah,
kidding me? Yep.
no, we have such a huge problem in this country.
They said that they wouldn't retry a lot because of how hard it was on the child witnesses. It was their oldest son that was really the star witness here, and it was
Right,
incredibly hard on these children and to put them through that. And so they're just not going to do it again.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. A 15 years how that is considered life is beyond me. Yep.
It makes me
Agreed.
sick.
It's gross. Okay, Kristi. Speaking of gross, talk to us about Ethan Crumbley.
Oh well, as you know, there's been this hearing it's taken months. Well, it did the Miller hearing. It took a long time, and then we've been waiting on a ruling on the Miller hearing about because he pled guilty
Yeah.
to the school shooting that he committed in 2021,
Yeah.
and at Oxford High School he murdered 4 students. So the Miller hearing has been to determine because he was only 15 when he committed those crimes, could he in fact be given life without parole in the state
Hmm.
of Michigan? And the ruling has come back that yes, the ruling came out Friday. that he is eligible to serve life in prison without parole, and his sentencing is scheduled for December 8th.
Wow.
So, progress, I guess. But I look at him and his situation, and I think, okay, he's eligible for life without parole, but the Wests aren't?
I know.
Really?
Like real life. Real
Yeah,
life. Which
yeah.
is good. Ethan belongs behind bars forever. He is an
He
incredibly
is
terrifying
one
person.
scary kid. Yeah,
Yeah.
he
There
is.
would be more carnage if Ethan was out. I have no
Most
question.
most definitely.
Yeah. Also, I believe I read this week that it's been decided by the Michigan Supreme Court that yes, indeedy, his parents can stand trial, can
Oh,
and will.
I have that as well.
Oh well, excuse me.
Yes. Yes. So his parents, have been doing a lot of crying and whining about being in jail and being charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter for the fact
Yep.
that they pretty much just put the gun in his hand and taught him how to shoot it, and then paid no attention to the fact that he was a complete mess, up to and including the day that he committed the
Hmm.
shooting. Um, they've been filing appeals in Michigan. It went all the way to the Michigan Supreme Court. Um, and it has been found that, why, yes, they most certainly can stand trial for these
Yep.
charges and will.
Yep.
So this is precedent setting stuff.
Yep. Yes, it is. It's huge.
Those two are going to trial and are going to be found guilty.
Yeah.
The evidence against them is so damning
Hmm.
that it is absolutely disgusting that they've pushed it this far.
Yep.
Like, they genuinely, we had no idea. Are you kidding me? All the things that he wrote, all of the text messages and the things he was saying to friends, to family, on videos, at school.
Hmm.
They were both out there too busy having affairs on each other to give a
Hmm.
damn about their kid who was
Hmm.
melting down and incredibly dangerous.
Yep.
And when he was a big mess, their solution was, let's go buy him a real nice gun for Christmas and teach him how to shoot it.
Hmm.
And
And then
then
not lock it
they
up.
and then not lock it up, so he took it to school and he killed 4 kids.
Yep.
I mean,
They are culpable without a doubt.
they are 100%. And now there is no question that they will be going to trial.
Yep. For
I'm
sure.
glad. Bye,
Me too.
Crumblies. Bye bye.
Hmm. Earlier today, we brought you an episode about, in one of our segments, was a woman in Philadelphia who there's a video of a motorcycler hopping off his bike in traffic
Yes.
and jumping up on her car and jumping on her back windshield until he shatters it with her 2 little children in the car. And she, of course, if you saw the video, hopped out of the car and had a confrontation with him. He
Shoved
had
him
a
off his
gun.
bike. It's pretty great.
Yeah, she knocked him off his bike. Yeah, she wasn't backing down, man. And we had said earlier there has been an arrest, but we didn't know the name of the perp yet, and now we do. So I do have a picture of him I want to share. His name is Cody Heron. He's 27 years old. He is dumb as hell, as you can imagine. Oh, I guess I don't have a picture. Okay, well, never mind on that. But
He's
his
like
name
a
is
real
Cody.
stable genius, I'll
Yeah,
just say.
Cody Heron is his name, and he has ruined his life, honestly.
Yeah.
So apparently, there had been an altercation with them before this happened.
Between her and him.
Yeah, that he
Okay,
had
I
already
wondered what.
sideswiped her car,
Oh,
and
wow.
so she'd rolled down her window, and there had been words between them. And then she said one of the other men on bikes, because this was a whole posse of people on bikes and ATVs
It
and
was
shit.
crazy.
And this is Cody. And so they had some words between them because, he crashed into her car.
Right?
And so to retaliate for her having the nerve to, have something to say about that, he vandalized her car like that and put her kids in danger.
Oh my God. What he
And
did is unbelievable.
oh, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it's unreal. So What we know now is that Cody has been arrested. We know that he is being charged with several things, actually, having to do with that incident. So this is good. We now know the driver of the car's name is Nikki Bullock, and she was with her girlfriend in the car with their 5-year-old daughter and 2-year-old son. So probably why she was brave enough to get out of the car. There was another adult in the car.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what happened. That's what's going on. So when the police caught up with him, and they had a hard time finding him because apparently the name he uses online is not his name. And they're not quite sure if that's actually tied up with some illegal behavior too. So that's being investigated. But
Makes you
when they
wonder.
found him, yeah, the gun, the bike, and the helmet were all in his possession. So bye, Cody. Sucks to suck.
Does suck to suck. Sucks to be a dumbass criminal. What you did is on video, dude. Bye bye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm glad they've got him.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. And that she wasn't injured because that scared me to death to see her challenge him like that while he had a gun.
Right. Well, and her kids in the car, the way he
Yeah.
jumped that windscreen, that back window out. Ugh.
Yeah. Connie says he looks like a cocky little SOB, doesn't he, though? Yeah.
He
He
does.
looks
Yeah,
like
he
a
looks
little
like.
shit that needs to be cut down a little bit. Yep.
Well, that's about to happen.
And that's happening now. Yep.
Yep.
For sure.
Jenny is suffering from dumbassery. Seems like a real severe case too.
Yeah. Well, speaking of dumbassery, talk to us a little bit about Lance Peck.
Oh, you guys.
Be
This is
prepared to be
Downard.
pissed off.
This is Downard Funeral Home. Okay, we've been talking about Downard Funeral Home for a while now because this is a local case to us. Lance Peck owned Downard Funeral Home. Some very terrible things happened in which we discovered that there were decaying bodies in his possession, people missing, cremains, all kinds of terrible things, right? So he's
Yeah.
been facing 63 misdemeanor charges, 60 counts of unprofessional conduct by a mortician, and 3 counts of petty theft. And he was scheduled for a jury trial to begin on October 16th. Yesterday, was a pre trial conference, and the trial has been vacated. We're not really sure what that means because the Bannock County prosecuting attorney promised this community that he had felony charges coming, and yet we have seen none.
Mm-hmm.
We do not know what's happening. A new trial date has not been set. We don't know why this trial was vacated. We don't know what's
Mm-hmm.
happening at all. He is now facing 13 civil lawsuits and now no criminal trial.
Yeah. At least now they
So
may be rescheduling it, but we don't really know.
it's weird. The whole
It is
thing,
weird.
the way this is happening, we have been worried for
Mm-hmm.
a while. We've talked about it on here.
Mm-hmm.
We've been worried that this was going to get brushed under the rug somehow, and he was
Mm-hmm.
going to end up only having to deal with this civilly, not
Yeah.
criminally. So let
Yeah.
me show you his this sack of rancid mayonnaise, Lance Peck. That's him.
Ugh.
So we don't know. Dumbfounded by the fact that the trial has been vacated.
Yeah.
We don't know what's happening. We will keep you up to date because trust me, when that came out on the news today, we were furious.
Mm-hmm.
This guy needs some serious consequences. He has traumatized the shit out of this community. People in Pocatello and the surrounding areas that trusted him to care for their loved ones after they passed. I mean, if you've been
Oh yeah.
through the funeral process with anyone in your life, you know what a tremendously difficult thing this is. And to find someone who has mismanaged bodies, misplaced bodies, just the things that have happened are horrific.
Yeah. It's pretty hard to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we will keep you posted on that. But trust everyone is watching. The local news, local East Idaho news is on it because they know
Mm-hmm.
the whole community is pissed about this.
Yeah. Yeah. People are very, very frustrated about all of this. And honestly, it's just really, really hard for any of us to see this and think that he could possibly get away with it without having
Right? Well, like Joelle is saying, that
something.
is so weird. My dad died last month, and I just got back a box. It could have been anything. You just have to trust them,
Yeah,
right? Yes, I am very sorry for your loss as well, Joelle. But yeah, exactly.
yeah,
You do just have. How are you supposed to know?
yeah.
You know?
Okay, well, here's one clue. I just looked up his portal,
Oh, good. Okay.
and he applied for a public defender on the 2nd.
Has only just applied for a public defender.
2 days ago.
Oh my God!
So
No
I'm going to go
wonder
out on a limb here and assume that this is happening because he has a brand new attorney who needs some time to put this together.
he probably does.
Yep.
That's interesting, though,
Hmm.
that he has been privately represented up to this point.
Yep.
I didn't know that. He's broke. His
Hmm.
funeral home was broke. The one of the problems was that their crematorium had blown up, and he had been unable to afford to fix it,
Hmm.
and so was taking on um, cremation uh, cases where he couldn't actually cremate the bodies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So there'll be more movement here shortly, is what I'm
there will.
guessing. So we'll
But
have to keep an
this
eye
has
on
been
it. But
so slow. It has not served the community
hmm
well at all, I don't think.
no, it definitely has not. And what's gone on with the uh, other cases, the civil ones, is that they just keep asking for continuances and keep pushing it out further and further. And
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. So frustrating. So, anyway, but that's what's up with Lance Peck.
yeah. Not enough, that's what.
Absolutely. Okay. Are you ready to talk about Richard Allen?
Holy shit. Yes.
Hmm.
Wow.
So there's been a new filing. It's in addition to the Franks filing that had already come out. This is in Delphi, in case you're wondering. So what's happening is that they're asking for this Franks hearing because basically what the defendant is saying is that well, this was in the first big brief that came out that was like 135 pages. And what's happening is as they are going through more and more of the voluminous
Oh my God.
information, discovery that was given to them by the prosecution, the more holes they're finding. So they're adding more things to the Franks notice. So this came out yesterday, and holy, you guys, if this stuff turns out to be true, and they're making some
It's
big, yeah, I mean, they're
it's
making
going to take down a large number of public figures
absolutely,
in that area.
absolutely. So part of what they're saying is that they believe that Tony Liggett and the Unified Command, members of the Unified Command, are have been lying to the judge. That they lied to Judge Diner in order to, to get their way, to get their warrants and whatnot. So they are claiming that that the prosecution, that the investigators have had proof basically all along that this crime, the murders of the girls, were committed by the Odinites that live in that area,
Yeah,
which is basically a white supremacist group that they call themselves the Odinites. I think that's so offensive to
it
Germanic
is.
religions. It's awful,
It
but
is. It is because they're connecting themselves to
yeah,
this giant belief system that does not have anything to do with murdering children.
yeah,
It's gross as hell.
yeah. So, but I wanted to share the new stuff because it's pretty interesting. So here's what they said. On September 18th, 2023, the defense filed its motion for Frank's hearing, as well as a memorandum in support of said motion. Since that filing, the defense has received new discovery that strongly supports the defense's belief that Tony Liggett and Unified Command attempted to conceal from Judge Diner and has even attempted to hide from the defense that evidence that supports those practicing Odinism were the murderers of Abby and Libby. Specifically, Tony Liggett swore under oath at his August 8th, 2023 deposition that a Purdue professor did not believe that the sticks found on Abby and Libby's bodies consisted of runes. See, one of the things they said, and they gave us some clues about the crime scene that we haven't had before, was that there were runes. There were runic symbols carved in a tree, placed on the girls' bodies with sticks and things like that.
Right.
Also, that they were stabbed. Those were things that we didn't know. Furthermore, Sergeant Jerry Holman swore under oath in his August 10th, 2023 deposition that a Purdue professor said that the sticks found on the girls did not represent Odinism or any type of cult worship or any type of a group that would have conducted the crime. Okay, so this is what was said back in August. So Tony Liggett swore this, as well as Jerry Holman, that the Purdue professor said it did not have anything to do with runic, Germanic stuff, Odinism of any type. Because of the findings of this Purdue professor, the Unified Command claimed to have essentially abandoned the Odinism aspect of the investigation into the murders of Abby and Libby. In response to the defense request to depose this Purdue professor, so obviously the defense says, okay, well, we want to talk to this person. Who is it? The prosecutor, Nick McClelland, told the defense via email, as stated before, we are trying to identify the Purdue professor, but no luck yet. They didn't know who this person
They
was.
don't know his name, guys.
We don't know. He said it, though. He said it.
Everyone forgot. And no one wrote it down. But it definitely for real, for sure happened. Yes, it happened. This person exists, but nobody knows their name. It's a big secret. Like you couldn't just call up Purdue and say, who's your expert in Germanic religions?
Yeah.
It's such bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on.
It's unreal. Detective Holman has reached out to the FBI and Purdue. Hold on. And has not gotten a response yet. We will continue our endeavors, but may not be able to identify him or her. Can you imagine that being your response? Can you even?
Well, then that testimony is gone because bullshit. That testimony didn't exist if it can't be verified and confirmed with the person who gave it. It is so ridiculous.
It's insanity. However, on September 19th, 2023, the day after the Franks memorandum was filed, where it was revealed that the Purdue professor was missing miraculously. Of course, now they're saying he's missing.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly,
yeah, I'm sure
Jerry Holman found the professor, whose name is Jeffrey Turco, and interviewed him. Oh, so wait a minute. He does exist? Oh.
He does have a name. He really does. He's a real person.
Okay. In the interview, get this. In the interview, Jerry Holman apologizes to Turco for the 3 to 4 weeks it took him to sit down and talk with Turco. So he had been in conversations with him all along. All the while that they couldn't find him and didn't know his name and just couldn't do a damn thing about it, they'd been talking to him.
Yeah.
This means that Holman was aware of the Purdue professor's identity since mid to late August, but nonetheless told Nick McClelland that Unified Command could not locate the Purdue professor, and furthermore, they may not ever be able to find the Purdue professor. However,
guys, he went to the moon.
Yeah.
And he only bought a one-way ticket.
Yeah. We can't help you. We can't help you. However, it was obvious that the Purdue professor would probably out himself as the missing Purdue professor following the Franks memorandum. Holman went and interviewed the Purdue professor the day after the Franks memorandum was filed. Oh, did you suddenly realize you were fucked? Okay, sure seems like it. Why would Holman and the Unified Command try to hide the name of the Purdue professor even risking ridicule for the absurdity that they could not remember his name. The answer is obvious once the tape statement was played. A. Dr. Turco stated that after viewing the pattern of the sticks on the girls, that it was a given that someone was trying to replicate a Germanic runic script. A given.
Boom.
Furthermore, Dr. Turco consulted with a colleague from Harvard who had even more knowledge on runes, and this Harvard professor was in agreement with Turco. Furthermore, Dr. Turco stated that Odinism is an extreme neo pagan, neo heathenism ideology that has right wing racist connotations. Furthermore, Dr. Turco stated that according to 19th century sources, that Vikings practiced ritual killings and sacrifices. Furthermore, Dr. Turco stated that although he could not necessarily interpret these runes, that the stick configurations were pretty clearly runic, and that he could certainly imagine that this was somebody's idea that when you do human sacrifice, you carve runes. There are some poetic sources that would sort of support that idea that somebody might have come across. That scenario seems entirely plausible to me. Statement by Turco. Furthermore, Dr. Turco discussed how runes were thought to have magical significance and would be used in incantations, in rituals, and there is a sacrificial connection in mythological poetry. These things were some these things again where somebody who was sort of an Odin fanboy would likely come across. So there's all of that. Also,
So
they're
the Purdue
saying
professor did say they were runes.
absolutely clearly said they were runes.
These
So
nerds.
both of them lied in their depositions. On September 8th, September 18th, September 21st, September 27th, the state of Indiana made available to the defense a total of 14 hard drives, 5 flash drives, 3 disks, and what appeared to be hundreds of pages of paperwork. So they're just slowly, completely burying them. Particularly contained in the state of Indiana's September 27th, 2023 evidence drop was a thumb drive that contained an interview of a Jeffrey Turco, not marked as a Purdue professor.
Yeah.
It seems apparent by the timing of events that Tony Liggett and Unified Command knew the Purdue professor's name and wanted to hide his name and his findings from the defense, as Turco's conclusions supported the statements. Therefore, apparently in what seems like a complete harebrained scheme, Holman and Liggett decided to claim that they did not know the professor's name, hoping this would put an end to the defense looking into the Purdue professor.
Can you
However,
imagine the defense
yeah,
just taking that? Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense that you wouldn't know his name. Are you
yeah,
kidding me?
yeah. Let's see. However, once the memorandum made clear that the Purdue professor would certainly be found at some point in time, it took Holman 1 day to locate Dr. Turco and interview him about his findings of 2017. And yet, even that is generous considering that clearly from his conversation, he'd been putting him off for an interview for weeks.
For weeks. This is
Again,
so screwed up.
Again, Franks requires a preliminary finding that law enforcement has acted intentionally or with reckless disregard for the truth when being accused of concealing evidence from the judge who signed the warrant. It would be difficult to find a more outrageous set of facts to support that Liggett and the Unified Command intentionally concealed the Odinite information from Judge Diner. If Liggett and the Unified Command were willing to get away with concealing a Purdue professor from defense counsel, then it is easy to see that they would have no problem concealing all the evidence detailed in the Franks memorandum to Judge Diner as well.
Right?
Wherefore, defense counsel respectfully files this addition to the Franks notice and would request this court factor in this new filing in its ruling to the defense request for a Franks hearing.
This is damning as hell.
N- Yep. And then something else. This is from the initial filing. Several search warrants signed by judges in Marion County pertaining to certain internet and phone records, including at least one unknown person who admitted to killing the girls, even providing details unknown to the general public of the crime scene, such as the fact that he used a knife in a way consistent with the manner of death and also claiming he used a gun but never fired it. Not talking about Allen.
No, this is someone else.
Yep.
They have known all along who killed these girls,
Mhm.
and they have been protecting these people
Mhm.
because they are these people, is what I'm
Yep.
assuming.
Mhm.
Is that
Yep.
we're talking about law enforcement and the prosecutor's office being involved with this group.
Yep.
What
Yep.
else would be the answer?
And playing games with the judge. Well, I hope the Judge Diner is reading through all of this, getting madder and madder.
I would imagine so because they have lied to his face.
Yeah, that's right, Amy. I'd
Unreal.
read that too, that they didn't even collect the sticks. But
Yeah,
also in the first filing, they talked about the fact that the sticks were clean cut in a way that they weren't like fallen sticks. They were sticks that had been cut
yeah,
intentionally, that
like
were ready for
intentionally.
this.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep. All they have are pictures of the sticks. Yep.
yeah,
It is just so screwed up. All the while that Richard Allen is suffering. And
yeah.
I'm
If he
so
survives this,
disgusted.
it's going to be shocking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and Kaylin, right? Why haven't the Odinites? It's because the Odinites don't want anybody to know they exist. But they
Hmm.
haven't come out and condemned this or
No.
denied involvement. They've
Mm-mm.
said nothing
Nothing.
because they're a secret group that's not supposed to exist. I'm pretty sure.
Right. Well, except for the one guy last week crying on social media and asking for money.
Right.
This is ruining my family's life.
Hmm.
Well, how does Richard Allen and his family feel?
Right.
Now, obviously, this is the defense doing their job and
Right.
doing a hell of a job. But this is just the defense doing their job. It's still, we don't know what the judge is going to say. And also, we've seen the defense turn things in Daybell Vallow that was pretty dubious and a little hard to believe was even true. So, this is
But
just one
still, I
side of the
mean,
coin, but this stuff is
the
damning as hell.
lying about this guy, the lying about
Yeah.
what he said, and then lying about his identity, man,
Hmm. Yep.
bad,
Yep.
super bad.
It is awful. So that's what's going on in Delphi. Wow. This
Some
is really
crazy
something
shit.
else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kristi, talk to us about Dylan Rounds.
Well, as things in the legal system always happen, there was a hearing coming up for the man accused of killing Dylan Rounds. Dylan Rounds is the young man from our area who went missing in southern Utah
Mhm.
last year and is still missing. But his former neighbor, kind of a transient guy living in the area, James Brenner, is charged with his murder and desecration of his body.
Mhm.
Um, there was a hearing coming up. It has been postponed, more delays, which is really, really frustrating, I think. And it's super frustrating for his family. They're still desperately trying to find his body, still have not found his body. And it is, this guy hasn't even been arraigned yet. It's ridiculous. Um, there's
It's
not a lot.
insanity.
Yeah. So one of the things that was happening is that Brenner got arrested shortly after Dylan went missing for federal
Mhm.
firearms charges. So one of the things that's been slowing things down is that he's been in federal custody. And so every time the state court acts on the murder charges, the feds have to bring Brenner in basically.
Mhm.
And so that's taking a lot of time and a lot of bureaucratic bullshit.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, Dylan Rounds' body is still missing. His family does not have any kind of justice or closure in any way
No.
here. And they just keep making more excuses. It's
Yep.
gross.
Putting them off. Putting them off. Yep.
Yes, Dylan Rounds' mom was at CrimeCon. Yeah, she was.
Yeah. Yep.
I just, for her sake, I just want them to get to be able to bury him so that she can have something, you know?
The next level incompetence here from tip to tail is just unbelievable.
Oh my God, you guys,
What else do you
the
think goes on in that county?
right. The way that law enforcement has handled all of this has been
Mhm.
absolutely ridiculous. They didn't even really act like he was missing for quite a while. You
Yep.
know, all the while, here's this guy who obviously killed him. They have all kinds of
Mhm.
evidence against him,
Yep.
including a video on his phone.
Yeah. Yep.
But is that ever going to see the light of day? I don't know.
We'll find out. Alrighty. Well, the biggest kahuna probably tonight is Craig Ross.
Yes.
So this was the kidnapping of Charlotte Sena that we reported on yesterday.
Hmm.
Now, I'll tell you what happened. This has happened to us so many times, and it's okay
Yeah.
because she was found, and we don't care.
Hmm.
While we were recording our episode about Charlotte, she was found. So, you know, we of course had to publish it with that excellent news. But it kills me how many times this has happened to us. But it's fine.
You know,
It's
it
fine.
does.
We don't care.
This is,
Charlotte was found.
yeah, she was found alive, which is
Yep.
amazing.
So, and then most of you guys probably already know this, but Charlotte was, of course, kidnapped from a campground on a bike, riding her bike with her cousins, and the cousins had gone back to the campground. She wanted to take one more lap around where they were riding, and she vanished. Then her bike was found, and she was not. So here's how she was found. They had a deputy that was watching their house, and about 48 hours after she went missing, a car pulled up and put something in the mailbox and drove away. Now, there's a bit of a controversy there because they let him drive away. They didn't stop him to find out what the hell
Right.
he thought he was doing. They let him go. And they were like, well, people have been driving past here all night. We didn't really know. And they should have known. But the note was a ransom note. Now there's some conversation about the fact that the ransom note may have actually been written by her. A family acquaintance has said that, but that's not been verified by law enforcement. But that was said. Uh, he was asking her family for $50,000.
Yeah.
His fingerprint was on the note. And luckily, unfortunately for all of us, Craig has been in trouble before. And so
Yeah.
they had his prints on file from a DUI back in like 1999. So it didn't take him very long to figure out who it was. It took him a little longer to find him because he is associated with multiple residences right there in that area. But when they did find him, he was living in a camper behind his mom's house. And Charlotte was stuffed in a closet in the camper, uh, unharmed. I can't think. Every time I hear this, that she's safe, she was fine, she was in good health, she's unharmed. I'm like, she was kidnapped. No, she's not.
Been missing for
But
48 hours. She's not
mm,
unharmed,
yeah, give me a break.
but
But
alive is good.
alive, yes. He did scuffle with the police and got beat up on a little by them by the time they got him into custody. And that's where it stands. So here's a few things that we know about Craig Ross. Craig was in trouble, of course. Oh, well, one thing to know about Craig is that he has MS
Mm,
and his health has deteriorated quite a bit this last little while. And so he had moved onto his mother's property in this camper because he was having a hard time working.
mhm,
And also, apparently, he's been having a hard time with falls. So that's kind of what's going on with him. But that certainly you know, doesn't make him a criminal by any stretch of the imagination. But that's what's his shtick is. He had been a postman, it
mhm,
looks like.
mm.
Uh, so yes, he had a drunk driving arrest in 1999. In 2017, I believe, he had a charge for choking somebody. Oh, 2016. He was arrested for on a second degree aggravated harassment. In 2017, there was a charge against him for obstruction, criminal obstruction of breathing, a misdemeanor for choking somebody.
Mm.
There was also an investigation into him, and you might have heard it reported that he is a sex offender. He is not a sex offender. He's not a registered sex offender. But there was a probe against him that was closed not too long ago, just last month, uh, that was an investigation into him for being accused of sexually abusing a female family acquaintance when she was 12,
Mm.
that he was actually never charged on. So, yeah, he's got a history. And that's so now of course he's been arrested. Yeah, his son showed up at grandma's house and TMZ was hollering at him, and he came out and said that he hates his dad, that he doesn't want anything to do with him, that he's gross and weird, and he said a lot of things, and that he should die for this. That's what his son said. Um,
Mm.
he is a high school kid. Like, leave him the hell alone. I
Right.
Well, TMZ, come on, man. This
Yeah.
is a
Leave the kids
child.
alone.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what we know. Obviously, he's been charged for kidnapping.
Hmm.
And the thing that you got to know is that a kidnapping charge, that's going to carry some pretty heavy weight, but it's not, that's so far what we have. He's
Right.
not been charged with sexual assault, and we don't know that that's happened. He's not, that kidnapping charge might not carry as much weight as people want it to. That's what I'm going to say about that.
Hmm.
But at any rate, he is at least in custody, and we know who did it, and Charlotte is home safe. It's a miracle.
It genuinely is.
In our line of work, we just practically never get to give the good news.
No.
And so the fact that he actually was arrested, and that she was actually found alive is just an unbelievable miracle.
Yeah.
So it definitely sucks for his family. I can't even imagine how they're
Yeah.
feeling at this point and how
Yeah.
sick of this ass they are. I can only fathom.
Yeah.
But they'll they'll be done with him now too, obviously.
Yeah.
Not that they weren't already, I think, pretty done with him. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. Yep. So that's what's going on. And it's true. More charges could definitely come. And it's true that
Mm.
they may not say publicly, well, yeah, if he's charged with SA, they will say that publicly. That'll be a part of the
Yeah,
charge.
it'll be in his charges. So
Now, I'm going to tell you that this is the last time that we will mention Charlotte's name
yeah.
because she is now a victim and has been found, and she's a child. So we won't be talking about her name anymore, but we will definitely still be talking about Craig Ross Jr. So,
Yes, we will.
Kristi, I think the last thing we have is Tupac.
Guys, something I didn't think I would ever be able to say in my lifetime is that a suspect has been charged in the fatal shooting of Tupac Shakur.
Hmm.
So this is Dwayne Keffy D. Davis. He is 60, and he did make his first court appearance today. He was arraigned today.
Hmm.
Um, he asked the charges were cut, or the hearing was cut short because he asked to hire. He's trying to retain an attorney in Las Vegas.
Hmm.
So I mean, we're going to see some stuff going on, but of course, Mopreme Shakur, who is Tupac's stepbrother, uh, said to the Associated Press that he's been following the developments in the case from his home in Los Angeles, and the family is trying to manage their expectations. I mean, I would imagine they are, considering how long it has taken for an arrest to be made. But it is. I don't know if anybody thought that this was going to actually happen, but
Yeah.
he was arrested after a grand jury indictment.
Yeah.
So we've seen a lot of that lately. These secret grand juries going on where we don't know who's talking. Somebody spoke up.
Yeah.
He's being held without bond. The grand jurors apparently added sentencing enhancements for the use of a deadly weapon and alleged gang activity in their charges against him. So
Yeah.
we shall see. Very interesting. Obviously, someone who knew something has spoken up. I think it's the only way that this could have come forward this long after.
For sure. Yep. I'm totally blown away on this one, but hey, we'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. He wrote a book about his involvement. Like,
he did. A lot of people have known that this is who this was, but to actually see the legal system do something about it,
I'd pick
pretty
it up.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane. And yeah, his nephew actually did the shooting apparently, and he has died. But
right.
Yeah.
Right, but the fact that book's been out a long time, this has been known stuff, so they obviously had to come up with something else.
Yeah. Yep.
Kaylin says his ex-wife, evidence was at her house they searched. Interesting.
Okay then. Well, we'll take it.
Yes,
And
we
so,
will.
to anyone who still wanted to believe that Tupac was still alive, no, guys, he's really not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Neither is Elvis or Michael Jackson. They really all died. For reals.
Yeah, they are all gone. Also, I would like you all to know we did not turn into zombies. Did any of you?
No.
That was supposed to happen with the emergency alert system test on our phones today, according to some real wackadoodles. And guess what? We're all fine. We're all still here and fine.
Yep. I don't think I'm a zombie yet, but I don't know. I haven't had dinner yet. So hopefully it'll not, make me crave brains, or I don't know. I'm not sure what to say.
I was sitting with my dogs at lunch when it happened, and I was like, I still feel like having my lunch and not brains. So I think I'm all right.
Okay. All right. Kaylin was at Target when the alert went off. She said it was pandemonium.
Oh, I bet. I wondered in public what that would sound like. I put my dogs out right before it happened because my one little dog is absolutely terrified of loud beeping noises from phones. But she still came in shaking. Like she heard it, but she didn't have to be right in front of it.
Luckily, I was in my room with the door shut, and my dogs didn't even hear it or say a word.
Really? Oh,
which is good. That would ruin Rico's life. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Poor
Yeah.
Rico.
Now, I don't know, though. Colleen said she's feeling very 5G.
Are you feeling very 5G?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too. I have a 5G phone, so I don't know, but so far, so good. No desire for brains.
I love it. Well, there you go. All righty, you guys. Well, thanks so much for being here. That's it for tonight. That was a mouthful, man.
Yes, it was.
But we appreciate you being here. And we'll be back next week with 3 brand new episodes and case updates. So we're on top of it.
Yes, we are.
All righty. Well, take care. Have a great night. Please take good care of yourselves. This has been yet another production of the True Crime Squad.
Bye, everybody.